Get started, shall we? Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic, Non-Classics. This is episode number 2404 and Doubleshot 2298. We're discussing two trades here, one from Wolverine, the other from his particular Spider-Man. The Wolverine trade, it's called Wolverine Return to Weapon X. I don't have the trade, I'm talking about the issues in the trade here. The trade itself collects the issues 159 to 176 of the Wolverine ongoing series, along with annuals 2000, 2001. Which, in the case of these two annuals, these were the last annuals released for about 6 years, I think so. Yes. One thing nice about these issues is that it's like a series of story arcs for these issues. Yes. First, we have the best there is. It's a three-parter with the X-Men, and take our group known as the Lady Killers, who are here just for this one story arc, and that's it. Then we have Frank Thierry and Sean Chen. The main villain of this story arc is a guy called Mr. X. Yeah, and he's pretty much like the main focus of this one story arc. Yep. It's very interesting, per se, this story arc. Yeah, it's like a three-parter to start with. Yeah, so basically you can think of this as a bunch of three-parters, mostly. Last 159, 161. Yeah, that's where it gets wrapped up. And then 162 is Hunted. This is the return of the Weapon X program. And in these issues, this is where Sabretooth gets back the adamantium skeleton, which actually was removed from his body just in the previous issues. It was actually removed like a year prior to this. Now, I should point out something interesting about 159. I forgot to mention this before I continue. This is the first story arc for Wolverine just after the Ages of Apocalypse storyline wrapped up. Yep, this is the first story ran afterwards. Hunted, I believe, is a 4-parter, if I'm not mistaken. I actually think it's 5-parter. Yeah, it starts with issue 162 and doesn't wrap up to 166. Yep. Mostly put, it's a return of the Weapon X program in these issues. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the timeline for these issues. We start from December of 2000 and we wrap up in May 2002. Yep, so you got about 2 years worth of storytelling here. Yep. Now, this is the story arc that mostly put exactly is the reason for this trade's existence, because this is the story arc that brings a return of Weapon X. Yep. We also debut a new character called the Silver Man, who's only here for these issues, and his own one-shot called Astonishing Tales, which Frank Thierry wrote, which surprisingly was not in this book. He's like some older character who just associates Weapon X. I really enjoy this story arc, and Hank McCoy is definitely here. And Malcolm McCord is in this story arc as well. I believe that this is the story that had his debut. Malcolm McCord, you don't know who this guy is. This guy is the director of the Weapon X program. Yep, and he's here for these issues, and he comes back for a little bit later after this to start up another Weapon X program. The reason why it was brought back? For the new millennium. Yep, that was pretty much the reason for it. Now, John Rath himself, who was a character of this book, yeah, he made his debut in issue number 60. He actually got killed off, he probably killed off here, but then he came back later on, but he got revived. Yep. Yeah, the story gets wrapped up to 166. And then we begin a story called Bloodsport. Yep. Where it's basically Wolverine bunches of our villains for about 3 issues. Last from 167 to 169. Yeah, that's mostly put exactly what these issues are. And then the story is continued in the annual 2000. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for some reason, the story itself is continued in that very annual. Mm-hmm. Now, the annual itself was released definitely in, well, that can't be right. Here we go. Yeah. This mostly put is a story of Frank Terra. It's basically Wolverine dealing with Apocalypse and flashback. It's mostly with a flashback annual. Yes, it's mostly what this is. It's all about family. It's mostly also with the Brood as well. That's mostly what this annual does. Mm-hmm. Yes. But the whole main story with Weapon X program that sort of concluded in the 2001 annual. Yeah, where he takes on Bloodscream again. Yep. Bloodscream had last appeared back in Wolverine 123, just a few years prior to this. Bloodscream is an old enemy of Wolverine's, made his first appearance in issue 4 of this very volume. And I think that was one of his last appearances he made, because before this he appeared in an issue of Amazing Spider-Man 435. Yeah, those are the grass stuff. And after this anime came out in 01, he next appeared in 170, which is part of the Staying Alive story arc. And then he appeared sporadically after that, and that's it. Now, the Staying Alive story arc is also, believe it or not, the very first story arc where Wolverine, in this very book here, wears his outfit he wears in the new X-Men book, the leather jacket he wears with the big X. Yeah, this actually is the first story he wears this. Yeah, for some reason they have him wear this because, well, the main reason why is because we're in the main book, so why not? Yep, he also takes a Lady Deathstrike in the storyline too. A Wendigo gets killed off here. Well, supposedly anyways. Yeah, and the Wendigo appears here. After 172 is never seen again. And he teams with Alpha Flight. It's also part of a Enough Said event. And then for 172, it's still dealing with Staying Alive. Staying Alive, I believe, is it's just a 3-part story arc, and then after it concludes 172, and then 173 is the Logan File story arc. Yeah, this also, I think it was at the end of 172, I think it was. Or revealed what Lady Deathstrike looked like from behind anyways, not fully, but it basically shows off basically where her midsection, like around like her belly area and her back too, is placed metal, and part of her arms, because her arms have been open cybernetic for years, but not to detail like that, and this is basically shows it off here. And you can think of basically the Logan File story as sort of a similar continuation of the Hunted, and that's actually the last story we actually have here. Mm-hmm. Though this would be also the end of Frank Terry's time in the book. Until he came back briefly before the run wrapped up. He came back for issue 181 to 186, which I'll discuss that in a later video, but it's almost like, yeah, he leaves for just 4 issues and then comes back for 6. Yeah. Yeah, and kind of the strange thing about this story arc here, Logan Files, it's basically a backdoor pilot into the second volume of Weapon X. The ongoing volume that lasted for 2 years. 28 issues. Yeah. Which Frank Terry, I believe, wrote this book. If I'm not mistaken. Yes, yeah, he actually... Yeah, it's almost like basically he did this just to have a backdoor pilot set. But yeah. But I'll be discussing the remaining issues now. With these particular issues reviewed, I have approximately 10 more issues left to review, and I'll be done with reviewing Volume 2. I'm going to give these Wolverine Weapon X issues, Return Weapon X. Now, there's also some stuff related to Deadpool. I'll review those issues as part of when I review Deadpool Classic, but for these issues in particular, Wolverine, I give these issues a 9.5 out of 10. Next up is Thank you. The Spectacular Spider-Man Volume 3, Here Be Monsters. This collects issues for Spectacular Spider-Man Volume 2, issues 11 to 14. This is a pretty much a very controversial story arc. Why? Well, aside now, by the way, that cover that's Alex Ross does the artwork here. Yes. Now, Paul Jenkins is the writer here. Now, Humberto Ramos is off of the artwork for these issues. Yes. You have Damon Scott, this is 1 and 13, and 14 is by Pablo Rivera. Now, the first 3 issues was Lizard's Tail. These issues in particular have later been considered not canon due to a revelation by Kurt Connors in these issues. The revelation that he was in control of the Lizard all along. My guess is Paul Jenkins probably received a lot of flack for that, and Marvel decided basically that, yeah, that was not a good idea to do, so that's been just ignored. It's considered not canon. But yeah, that's why those issues are considered not canon, because the whole thing with the Lizard. But what about, let's say, for issue 14? 14 is a lot more better of a trade here. It's just basically just a lot of really good stuff here. Just a day. It's just one guy. We follow the whole issue. Does that be called Spectacular Spider-Man? Spider-Man is not really the star of this book. No, not really. Yeah, Strange, we have a 3-part and they have a standalone issue. It's a guy called Joey Ball, and he's mostly the star. Oh, I thought it was Alex Ross, it's Pablo Rivera. Yeah, it's just focused on him, the whole issue. Yeah, that's most of what it is, and that's all really left to talk about here. Yes. But are these issues good? The artwork is good. I like the artwork. The story itself has been deemed not canon. Due to the whole thing Revelation related to him. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to give this book roughly an 8.5 out of 10. Now, the very next volume is the volume I really want to talk about, because this is stuff I leave with it's as High Avengers Assembled, and it has debut of the main villain of Spider Island. A decade before the storyline came out. Well, actually about 6-7 years maybe. Yep, so yeah, that's a particular view. Next up is Jujutsu Kaisen, and then it's on. I have one more comic corner, and I'll probably call it a night at that point. Okay? That's for you. Bye.